The controversial and massively over-budget Trans Mountain pipeline expansion through Western Canada is over 95% complete, but the project and the pipeline company are both still facing some significant hurdles. The latest snag, the chief of one First Nation community, Coldwater Indian Band in the BC interior, says that Trans Mountain has failed in its duty to properly compensate them. Not for the new line being currently built, but for the original line that's been there since the 1950s.
They need to deal with Coldwater. And I've asked Minister Haydu to come to Coldwater and sit down with my council and I.
In the 50s, when that original line was built, there was very little in the way of environmental oversight, much less relations with indigenous communities. Coldwater was paid just under $1,300 in compensation. The same formula applied to other communities, $1 per 17 feet of pipe. But documents accessed by Global News show that the federal cabinet of the day was quite generous when it came to Trans Mountain, cutting the company a $1.8 million tax break. This, says Chief Lise Pahan, is a complete slap in the face to his community and his ancestors.
Minister Haydu and the Prime Minister, it's like they're ignoring Coldwater, but yet they get on the media and talk about all this reconciliation with First Nations, but when it comes to Coldwater, they just totally ignore us.
Now, Coldwater has received compensation for the expansion of the line, but it's the historic challenge that remains unresolved. Trans Mountain, for its part, says that the payment is a matter between the federal government and Coldwater. This critic says it's still status quo in Canada, and it's not in favor of First Nations.
The reality is oil and gas lobbyists have more power in decision-making processes than First Nations do. And the only way that we get any benefits are through closed, proprietary, negotiated agreements with these industries that read like gag orders or through business arrangements.
As for the feds, they say they're working closely with Coldwater to resolve the dispute, except the chief says he's still waiting for that phone call. Kamyar Razavi, Global News.